Alright, here we go again. Welcome back to the Pocket Dimension, everybody. We are here to, say it with me, paint all the things! Woo! That's where the music starts and everything. There's no music here, sorry. Anyhow, yeah. So, let's go ahead and get to painting tonight. And, of course, I am working on this elf from the Hobday and Hicks Kickstarter. So I did his leather bits last night. So my cat is upset that he's not in the Pocket Dimension with me. So we're going to do some more work on this little guy here. And the Hobday and Hicks Kickstarter is live. And for the next few hours, if you get in on it, he will send you a free figure, an additional free figure. No, I mean, a free figure. I don't know. Additional to what you pledged for, evidently. So, anyhow, I think we're going to go ahead and... Oh, my goodness. Really? With the Twitch? What's going on with the Twitch? Oh, my goodness. I thought I had this going on over here. There is a problem over here on Twitch. Good grief. It says I'm offline, but I'm not offline. Really weird. Very strange. That is really, really weird. I know my video output is equal on both sides. So, what gives, Twitch? Let me reload Twitch, see what's going on there. Okay. I just had to reload. Oh, that's very strange. Okay. So, here we go. Let's fade out. Fade back to blue. The old palette here. So, working on this elf from the Hobday Hicks Kickstarter. So check that out. Hobday and Hicks. And it is the Elves versus Orcs. And it's being driven by the Barons War. Bring this down a little closer. The Barons War rule set is what they're using. So they're making a fantasy supplement or a fantasy version of the Barons War. So that's kind of cool. So this was given to me back in March when they were visiting the Badger Games studio. Badger Games booth, not Badger Games studio. Badger Games store booth there at Adepticon. So, very cool. We're going to go ahead and keep on painting on that a little bit tonight. And then we're going to get back to the old monthly monster action here. So... Rawr. Lots of blue. I've been painting a lot of blue lately. I can't wait to start painting some other colors. Alright. So, hope everybody's doing amazing tonight out there on the Twitch and the YouTube here. So, it was funny. When I put out Hobday and Hicks on the Twitch for the title of the stream, it did not like Hicks. So the stream, the built-in naughty word finder that is on Twitch, not my own, not the one that I loaded into the channel, actually was, Hicks is the man's last name. Paul Hicks. But it said it's a mean word. It's a, and so I had to change it to Hiks instead of Hicks. Go figure. So, who knows what the YouTube is doing there. Very strange. Why is it still... Okay, that is very odd. Okay, maybe there's two weird things going on. There's a lot of weird things going on right now. So I've got over here on... So the backstage... Oh, okay, the backstage is not caught up to the actual live feed here. Okay. Backstage is weird on YouTube. Very strange. Very strange. Twitch has got a weird backstage. YouTube's got a weird backstage. My plan is to load in Social Ninja into OBS so that I can just keep the chat functions actually show up on the back end. So, of course, if you are watching, if you've seen my Instagram posts, I'm trying to give away a brand new copy of Warcrow by Corvus Belli. I'd show it to you, but I don't have much space on the desk to show it to you, but I do have it. I have pictures. I posted pictures. And if we hit 400 followers, I would like to hit 400 followers before Warcrow comes out on the street, before the street day. I would like to hit that. It comes out at the end of September is when it's supposed to be released from the warehouses. They were selling it at Gen Con, so I got it a couple months before it came out, and I want somebody to have that. So if you know somebody that would enjoy trying out a new game, it's got like 2 teams of 7 miniatures each. So orcs versus humans. Definitely give it a shot. Come on over. If you're watching on YouTube, come on over and give a follow to the Twitch, because that's where I do my giveaways. So anyhow, we'll see what tonight has in store. Don't have too many viewers right now, but that's okay. There's a certain pleasantness in streaming to no viewers. Kind of weird. But then again, I'm kind of weird. I live in a pocket dimension. It tends to mess with your mind. So, anyhow, here we go. So, this elf from the Hobday and Hicks Kickstarter. So, check it out. Alright, so what are we doing here? Alright, let's go ahead and do his little ties right down here. We'll paint those in a dark gray. We'll use a basalt gray since it's a very bluish gray, staying with the blues and the whites. So I hope everybody had a pretty awesome day. I had a pretty decent day. I started out a little bit later this morning because the outfit where I was working, they don't open till 10, so I worked from 10 till 5:30 this evening. So that was cool. Anyhow, that's what we got. So let's go ahead and get in there, and we'll do these tie downs here. And if it gets a little bit off to the sides, that's okay, because we will just go ahead and count that as being shadow. Not a problem. Not a problem at all. it amazes me how delicate some of these details are. Now, of course, if you really want delicate details, check out Tom Myers' stuff at Ral Partha Legacy, the older stuff, and it was even smaller. It was true 25 millimeter. So Tom's stuff is very small and very intricate. So if you're watching on YouTube, can you hear me okay? That's YouTube was saying that I have lower than they recommend, like 128K on vocals, but I don't know really what that means. So if you can hear me okay, let me know. If you can't, well, I don't know what to say. No, do let me know though if you can hear me okay on YouTube. I'll have to do some weird fiddly stuff. I've got the weekend coming up, so I got some time to work on it. We'll use the grayish blue of Ice Storm here. That's by Army Painter. That's the old Army Painter war paints. I haven't invested anything in the new ones yet, though I did hang out a little bit at the Army Painter booth at Gen Con and just watched people use them and listened to people talk about them, and they look, I mean, they're definitely a nice product. The new Fanatic paints are definitely worth the investment, I think. Of course, there are so many really great paints out there. P3 paints are coming back. So they're adding some colors, so they're going to get an ice yellow. Their coal black was always one of my favorites. Of course, that's also from the old Coat d'Arms line, which was the original Games Workshop Citadel line of paints. So HMG is the company that actually produces those over in England. So, but I think they are going to have a Kickstarter for the P3 line of paints. So keep your eyes peeled. But for right now, definitely go over to Kickstarter and check out the Elves vs. Orcs from Hobday and Hicks. Hey Manchu, how's it going? Got the box of goodies. Nice. I'm glad it made it to you. Hope it was things you could use or find somebody that could use them. So it took me a while to find a box that I could fit that stuff in. So, but yeah, glad you got it. Sorry it took a little bit long to get it to you, but sometimes that happens. So I'm trying for 400, Manchu. So if we can get 400 followers, I'm going to be giving away a box of Warcrow, the Warcrow box set, which is two 7-man or 7-person teams, and terrain, battle mat, plus rules. So put the word out there. I don't know if you do Instagram or not, but feel free to share my posts on Instagram. But yeah, I'm glad you got that stuff, and you know I like to give things away, so I'm working on doing a giveaway of the new Warcrow game. So hopefully somebody sees that and will help me reach 400 followers before the game hits stores. Now the game hits stores in September, towards the end of September. So let's see if we can get there. We only have to get 78 more people to come over here and visit and hit that big purple button. So, and then of course you know about the subscriber perk for monthly monster, right? So here's the monthly monster I'm working on, Big Blue Dragon. So I think you know about those. And I've sent several out. So DD Minis, Myar, Heretic Scott have gotten several wee beasties to add to their menageries. So, but yeah, good to see you again. Hope the summer has been treating you well. Hope everything is good in your neck of the woods, wherever your woods might be. So, this elf that I'm working on is from the Hobday and Hicks Kickstarter, and it's kind of special. The story behind it for me, is I'm standing there talking to them at the at Adepticon, and I really didn't ask for it, but they evidently had a big box of these guys that they were handing out. So he says, "Hey, would you like an elf?" I said, "Sure, why not?" So he handed me one, and we were talking, and I said, you know that guy keeps on bothering you guys about making samurai riding dinosaurs on your Instagram chats." "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." I said, "Well, that's me. That's me. I confess. I'm the guy that keeps on asking you guys to make samurai riding dinosaurs. But that's okay if they never do, because I can get samurai riding dinosaurs from my friends at Ralparth Legacy. That's right, you can buy stuff from Ralparth Legacy a la carte and make your own units. And you can play them as you want in their Chaos Wars game. Now, I don't get any money for any of these endorsements. These are things that I like. I'm telling you guys and gals and everybody else about the cool things that I like. And I hope you will check them out, because they're friends of mine and they can use the business just like anybody else. So, but yeah, give Ralparth Legacy a look. They've got the old Tom Meyer Thunderbolt Mountain figures. They've got the old 1/72, 25 millimeter scale stuff out there. So, anyhow, looks like there's an ad coming in on the Twitch side of things. So, just to let you all know. So I'm doing a little bit of wet blending and the like on this figure, as opposed to my usual highlighting style, which is very stark. So here, I don't know if it shows up on the screen here or not, but this area here, I went from dark to this very light blue. I didn't go sky blue. I didn't go for a desaturated blue. I went for a really strongly saturated blue using the Vallejo Game Color Magic Blue, right? So I went with that. And I went from the dark Prussian blue up from there, so a very dark blue, and I just kind of pushed it through this gradient here. Now, it's not quite as strong a gradient as a lot of really professional people that work in gradients all the time, because gradients is just not something I do a lot of. So it's kind of wet blending I can do. It just takes a long time. I did a lot of wet blending on the camouflage pattern that I did on the Tech Commander pieces. So DD Manchu, Old Manchu. My eyes don't work. I couldn't see. I was looking through the visor here. My face cam has gone out. Somehow it just gave up the ghost. It doesn't. The face cam on the laptop's not working. So, unfortunately. But Old Manchu, if you go to my Instagram and look at my a couple of posts back, you'll see some mechs with very blue, very aggressor, like the U.S. Air Force has the aggressor squadron that flies with kind of a Russian blue camouflage pattern. So we based it on that particular squadron's colors there. So all right, so I got the ties in there. I'm going to take a little bit of cold white, and I'm just going to touch up around those where I've got a little bit out of line, which it's only paint. Paint's okay. It gets out of line, no problem. That's why we go from the low to high, because if the high stuff gets paint down on the low stuff, we can actually clean it up with no big deal. So we got an ad starting over on Twitch in about a minute and a half now. So I'm also dual streaming over to YouTube now. So enjoy that if you're over here on YouTube. The discoverability is just a little bit better. The only thing that YouTube doesn't have that I wish it did was the raid function, because that's how you really build your network. Without a network, it's very difficult. And that's one of the reasons why you have things that are so tribalistic over on YouTube sometimes. So, but that's the thing is YouTube, if they really wanted to, if they really cared, they could eat everybody's lunch if they dropped in a raid function. Because that's what kind of keeps me at Twitch. Even though the Twitch discoverability is horrible, and we don't have our own category yet, though that may be changing according to a comment that Uncle Adam made the other day. So can't say much there. He couldn't say much, I should say, so I can't say much because I don't know much to say. But he did have a conversation with somebody. So there may be a miniatures painting category in the works over here on the Twitch. So, alright. It's time for an ad, I guess. So, advertisements on the Twitch side of things. Gotta pay the bills somehow, right? Don't work for free. But the nice thing about it is it does put the channel, the video feed up in the corner, so you can still watch it. Alright, let's see. Let's work on the shoulder pads here. These little pauldrons coming out from his armor. And as usual, because I'm going for that gold look, just to give some warmth and some contrast to the cold, I'm going to start out with Vallejo Game Color, Tinny Tin. What a wonderful color Tinny Tin is. Just absolutely love it. I'm sure somebody's OCD is being triggered out there on YouTube somewhere, because my desk is kicking out at an angle a little bit here, so I could adjust my camera, but I hate adjusting camera while people are watching. So, but that's okay. There's an ad break going on, so we'll be okay, I guess. So let's do this. Let's dress that up a little bit. Okay. Let's see. That's maybe too much. Too much. Got a little bit of a lag. I could watch it in OBS, I suppose, but alright. Very cool. We'll bring it down even just a little bit. Okay. There we go. That's a little closer. Oh my goodness. What? Oh, okay. Alright. I've got two different viewers going on here. So I've got a screen that shows me what's going on over at YouTube, and I got a screen that's showing me what's going on over here on Twitch. So the Twitch is a faster refresh than the YouTube. It kind of goes along, but it's nice to see that it looks like both streams are. Let me move this camera over just a little bit. It looks like both streams are are running at about the same resolution, so that's good. I think, because that's one of the stipulations that Twitch has for you to multi-stream, is that the quality of the stream has to be equal across all platforms. So I couldn't have a better stream going out to YouTube than I do for Twitch. So but if you just joining us, if you haven't followed yet, feel free to drop a follow there on Twitch, because once we hit the 400 mark on Twitch, I'm going to be giving away a box of Warcrow, the Warcrow box from Corvus Belli. Hopefully we can get our viewership up a little bit and get those 400 follows and give that away. Hopefully we can do it before the game comes out on the street. It comes out towards the end of September, and I would like to get it in somebody's hands before that. So if you haven't hit the little purple box down there, it says follow, please do so, and you will be in the running for the Warcrow box. And I generally like to get it when people are in the chat. So when I do the giveaway, it will be the people that are the followers that are in chat. So you have to be a follower, and you have to be in chat. Void where prohibited, obviously. Quebec. Hey, Watch Captain 81, nice to meet you. First time I've seen you here. How's it going? You might have stopped by before. I don't remember, but anyhow, I'm working on. Hello there. I should get some like soundboard stuff going on. I've done this really stripped down, super intimate, really clean channel where I don't have a lot of bells and whistles. I do have some things for rewards as far as turning in quantum units. So there's that. But I don't have a lot of bells and whistles or anything like that. Oh yeah, you have been. Okay, good. Model looking good. Thank you. This is an elf from the currently running, they just started yesterday, the Hicks and Hobday Elves versus Orcs. So they have a game called Baron's War, which is sort of in the 1300s in England, right around the War of the Roses era, right? 1400s. And it is, what they're doing is they're doing a fantasy set of rules based on that Baron's War set. So they started sculpting these elves and orcs last year, and they brought some of the resin casts of the elves to Adepticon, and if you visited them while they were at the Badger Games booth, they'd gift you one or two. So they gave me this one. We chatted for a little while, talked about various things, and I confess to being the guy that always showed up in their chat asking for samurai riding dinosaurs, or dinosaur riding samurai. You could parse that both ways, still be correct and incorrect at the same time. So let's see, where's the silver? I had some silver here somewhere. I've got gold, I've got tinny tin. So as you know, I paint from the inside out. From the lowest points, topographically speaking, to the highest points. So I just did the ties on his on his wrists here, and I just did the gold for the armor, and now I want to kind of blend that out to a little bit of silver on the edges, just to kind of make that gold pop. Hope to get to Adepticon one of these years. Yes, it is definitely something that should not be missed. I mean, do it at least once in your life. If you can only go once in your life, do it. If you like miniatures, if you like models, go. The amount, the atmosphere of just creativity there is impressive. You will come back home so pumped to make things, paint things, build things, and then you go to work and that kind of all gets squashed. You know, the grim realities of everyday life tend to soak up a little bit of that enthusiasm that you come back with. You know, because it interrupts your flow. That's the only downside. I call it the post-con hangover, or conover. No, that's somebody's name. But the post-convention hangover, right? The post-convention blues, maybe. I always does, right? Yeah. All right, so I just put a little dab of chainmail silver from Vallejo Game Color out. I've got various different colors of silver, and I didn't really have any particular one in mind when I picked that one out just now. I just wanted to grab one so that I could mix that back into some of this gold. And we're going to cool down this gold a little bit with this bright silver color. But we're not going to take it down so far. I don't want to put straight silver edges on this armor. So I want it to look a little bit brighter though. So I'm adding a little silver just out here on the edges. And you don't need much. So a little edge highlighting going on there. So right here. But I have got the Warcrow set to give away when we hit 400 followers on the Twitch channel. So, and then if you want something really special, when I hit 500, I have got something absolutely blow your mind, amazing to give away. Well, I don't know, maybe it won't blow your mind, but it's pretty nice when we hit 500. So share the channel around. What does they say over here on YouTube? Like, share, subscribe. So, and I also am multi-streaming on YouTube right now as well. So if you are watching on YouTube, consider coming over to Twitch for the giveaways. Even if you watch me regularly on YouTube, if you're following me on Twitch, you will also be in the running. Now the monthly monster giveaway is for subscribers only, because it's a little thank you to people that are putting a little bit more skin in the game. And that will also become open if I hit the fan monetization. The join, you can do joining. You can join a channel over on YouTube. So if that ever comes to pass and I get that affiliate or partner approved or whatever they call them over here, people that join the channel, support month to month like that, will also be in the running for the monthly monster. So lots of ways to join. Do I still have to use OBS or Streamlabs when streaming on YouTube? Yes, I use. Well, I mean, it depends, right? You can go live right from your webcam, right through them. But I use OBS. I did have a little trouble with getting everything to sync up tonight. I couldn't figure out why it wasn't showing up on Twitch. Turns out I just needed to refresh my backstage. I just need to hit the little circle uh, circle arrow thing, right? So that was a little weird. But I do use OBS because it's what I'm used to using. So you can actually multi-stream right out of UBS. UBS, yes, the United Bank of Scotland. You can stream right out of the United Bank of Scotland. They love it when you stream there. I don't know what that would mean. What would it mean if you streamed right in the? Is that diverting the river there? Runs through Edinburgh? I don't know. Uh, so anyhow, I don't think they would really appreciate that. All right, so there's the little pauldrons. There's little shoulder pads there. So that's good. I think that's nice. And that's a little bit of wet blending too, as far as I'm concerned. Metallics are sometimes hard to tell just because they are so bright. Kind of hard to tell exactly what's going on there. But yes, I use OBS because it's what I'm used to. What I have been talking to a friend of mine about is getting an ATEM, ATEM, ATEM or Atom. I'm not sure exactly how it's pronounced. But getting an Atom deck and getting some fairly inexpensive camera bodies and a couple of lenses. Because I'd like to have 3 camera coverage, right? So I'd like to have a coverage on the close cam. I'd like to have a face cam. Although I think some people would rather not have a face cam. I mean, I'm sure that I've broken a few monitors just because of my ugly mug. But that being aside, I think a face cam helps people to connect with the streamer a little bit more. And, your face can convey more information than just your voice. So, so a face cam, and then I'd like to have a camera. I'd like to get a turntable and put something on the turntable, like the last project completed, or what else is on the table, what else is upcoming. So, I'd like to have triple, but I can't do 3 cameras because you can only do so much with your USB ports, right? So USB is weird because if you have 2 cameras, the way it is, like just a regular computer, and you haven't optimized it, like added another UBS bus, it's gonna look at one camera or the other, or the 2 cameras that you have. So like I could run my webcam off my laptop and I could run my close cam, but I couldn't run close cam, webcam, and then a third camera for something else. Haven't been streaming in a while due to work. Yeah, that happens. And as you know, sometimes I get called away for work, so I've had to drop streams from time to time. It's just an unfortunate fact of life. Remember how I said work tends to kill the creative drive sometimes? Yeah, you get sent out of town and you can't get your streams going, and you've had all these great ideas and then you're wiped out, and you think, well, maybe this weekend I should just go ahead and do a makeup stream. Well, that sometimes doesn't always happen. I was just using 2 cams. I was just using 2 cams as well, Watch Captain, for a while, but the camera on my laptop went out. So I tried to find it. I looked in the what would you call it? Device manager. I found it in the device manager, but it says that it's not connected. It's a laptop. It's an onboard camera. How can it be not connected? Did the soldering come loose? I don't know. I am not in a position to open it up. I'm an electrician, not an electronics guy. So, I mean, I could probably figure it out, but then if I mess it up, am I going to be out of computer? And then what happens to the stream? The stream is important to me. I mean, it's definitely not a income provider for sure. I would not live for very long on what I get from the streams. But I also don't want to have to spend money on getting a new computer anytime soon. This is a very old computer. I think I got this computer I got this computer back in shortly after I moved up to this area, which that was 14 years ago now. I moved up here in 2012. It's 2024 now, so 12 years I've lived in this area, and I got this computer 2012 or 2013. I don't remember exactly, but maybe it was 2014. Hold on. I think I got this computer in 2014. So it's a laptop, and it's held up. I mean, in fact, I hadn't turned it on for quite a while. Evidently, the battery is degraded, so it doesn't even register. So I can't unplug it. I'm such a Luddite. All right, let's see about getting the next thing done here. All right, so the next thing I want to do, I think I'm going to go ahead and try to paint the fletchings on his arrows. And I want to do it in another color that's going to... I enjoy getting to know more people abroad in the hobby. Yes, absolutely. And that's the thing, is this platform, whether it's on Twitch or YouTube or even Rumble, using Instagram and this platform, your video platforms, is a really great way to get to know more people abroad in the hobby. Absolutely. And then if you are well-heeled enough to get to go and visit across the pond, you could get to know even more people. Or if you're able to get to some of these conventions, I know you say you'd like to get to Adepticon, you would not believe the amount of talent that shows up to Adepticon. If you want to get to know people that are abroad in the hobby and want to meet people that are doing amazing things, whether it's content creators like here or people that are writing rules, producing miniatures, whatever, you got to get to Adepticon. Save up them pennies. Don't eat McDonald's this week, bologna sandwiches or whatever. And you will find yourself meeting lots of people that are abroad. A broad spectrum of skills, and then also people that come from overseas. You get like I don't know that Angel Heraldez has been there anytime soon, or if ever. I'm sure he's been there, but the whole like at Gen Con, the whole bunch from Infinity were there. Everybody in the office, all the people from Spain came over. So that was cool. They've got a new spokesperson over at CB as well. CB, that's Corvus Belly. So you got GW, CB, SDGS, which is Sea Dog Game Studios, RPL, which is Raw Partha Legacy. So I do tend to initialize a lot of things. So, but yeah, watching this platform is a great way to actually interact with people overseas and see what they're doing and see what rustles their jimmies, so to speak, and pick up things that you might not even know about. So I'm trying to get some green out of this. This is the Pine Green by Reaper Miniatures. And I've poked the hole in this thing like 87 times here. So we got an ad starting in 3 minutes. So we're already at 2.5 hours here. So almost. Makes me mad. Get in there. That's pretty wacky. That is pretty wacky. I'm from Halifax, Nova Scotia. All right. I got some friends in Nova Scotia. Have a little convention, Halcon. I think I've heard of it. It has some hobby gaming stuff, but mostly comic related. Yeah. Hey, Watch Captain, I'll tell you something. if you want to help build that scene, right? So it's got some hobby gaming. That's great. Maybe it's centered on 40K. Maybe it isn't. There's nothing wrong with introducing other games. I mean, if you're from Halifax, Nova Scotia, you might want to check out, get some sail power, take some sail power up there. I would bet you that with the seafaring tradition of Nova Scotia, I would bet you that a game of sail power would go over like gangbusters there. But I digress. What I was gonna say, aside from that, I mean, I've got to promote my friends, right? So, Sea Dog Game Studios, flagship product. There you go. A little pun for you. Intended, not intended. Sorry, not sorry. Um, uh, Sea Dog Game Studios flagship product is Sail Power, and this is our new product for the year. So it used to be that these kits, you had to take doweling and wire and make the masts, and a lot of people wouldn't put, like, cut paper and put the sail on the mast. But now the mast and the sheet are all one piece in 3D printing. And you see that hole in the hull here? You can maybe have to widen out that hole. Actually, this hole is perfectly. I might just widen it out just a little bit. But then you clear off the spruing from the print, jam that right in there. So now you've got your main sheet. Here you've got your jib. I know it's still on the spruing on the tree here, the supports. So then you've got your jib. So then you can glue that right in place, right on the front like that, right? And then you've got your main sheet for your main mast. So that's the Buccaneer sloop kit. So it's got the quarter deck here, and it's got a gun below, which that's an advantage. Keeps your guys a little more safe. So a gun below, 3 guns on deck. And yeah, that's all 3D printed. That is a nice model, right? So that is what's called the Captain's Series, and we call it the Captain's Series because it gets you out of the harbor. We call the old kits that have the you also got the rat lines, so you can glue the rat lines on as well. So the rat lines go up the side, right? So the rat lines are there for a little extra detail. So we used to have what we now call the Harbor Master series, and the Harbor Master series were just empty spars, right? So you'd not have any of the sails showing. It'd just be the spars and the masts, empty masts. And so we call that the Harbor series because it looks like the Harbor Master series because it looks like they're sitting in the harbor. But now we call this the Captain's series because that will get you out of the box and onto the table. The old models were very complex, and I'm a skilled modeler, and they gave me the heebie-jeebies. This, I can't wait to put this together. I just haven't put it together because I really enjoy showing it off and showing people what they get. Now, I don't get any kind of remuneration for this. I just get to go to the conventions and push the game myself with them. So I get a little space in the hotel room. I'm one of the game masters, senior game master, also on the playtest group. So I'm not getting paid, but I'm getting rewarded, right? So, But I think that would be a game that would go over really well in Nova Scotia. Don't you know, eh? Alright. So, I'm using the pine green from Reaper Miniatures. And I'm going to use that pine green, and I'm going to just hit the fletching right here. Now, the fletching is just in there. It is, I mean, it's really something I probably should have painted before painting everything else around it. But it's in such a shadowy, shaded place that I'm not going to worry too much about it. I will probably touch up the veins just to kind of get a little more detail on there. But I'm just going over it with a bit of thin, dark green. But that's a great game, and you can get that game at cdoggamestudios.com. That's cdoggamestudios.com. Also, of course, Tech Commander, our big giant fighting robots game. Combined arms mecha combat, right? So you've got tanks, you've got vehicles, you've got infantry. Here's one of our infantry models. So 10mm scale. So here's one of the ones that I'm working on currently, or I will be. I need to go and get some more dark jade. So this is one of the mechs. We just peg them together with a little bit of wood, but you can glue them into place as well. And then he's going to have guns on each of the ends of his arms there, kind of like the old rifleman, right? So, but that is called the linebacker, sort of our version of the Atlas, but better. So anything with submarines. I'll tell you what, Watch Captain. If you go and you drop a line to Brian, that's Brian Carnes. He's the chief cook and bottle washer over at Sea Dog Game Studios. He designs everything. He does all the 3D printing. He comes up with the rules that we get to break. But he has been known to take on custom jobs. And somebody a couple of years ago asked him about doing a submarine. So, hop on the website, check it out, drop him a note. There's a chat function on the website, I think. There's also the Discord. So if you go to the cdoggamestudios.com, there's also a link to our Discord. So check that out. Also check out, obviously they've got an email option as well. So yeah, submarines are a thing that he can do if you want a model submarine. Waterline, or if you don't want it in waterline, if you want something that you can maybe put on like an antenna. I'm gesturing towards the I'm gesturing towards the face cam that no longer works. You know, you do something for 2 years and you're used to doing it a certain way and you're used to having something. But if you had a game that you had like antennas that went up and down that you mounted your submarines to, I'm sure that he could probably whip together a full scale submarine, the full thing, waterline or whole model. So he does do custom work that way. So anything with submarines, yes, I think he could do anything with submarines. If it's in the water, it's in the wheelhouse. So Sea Dog Game Studios was built on the Sail Power game. So that's where it started. Was 2005, I want to say. And I think he debuted it at Historicon. No, Cold Wars? Maybe it was Cold Wars. It was in the middle of winter. They actually had a power outage. So this is the green triad: pine green, leaf green, and pale green from Reaper Miniatures that I'm doing up the fletching on these arrows in. So work on them myself. Okay, okay, real life Submariner there. Very cool. Real life Submariner. Nice. So you got a thing for girl's named Sue? That's a Submariner joke. Because the Submariner, see, it's a comic book character. It's a comic book character. But you could actually, with sail power, the idea of actually sailing the ship and getting your headings and the way the wind affects your heading with the way it interacts with the ship is actually very much like sailing. We've had a lot of people come up and say your game depicts sailing more accurately than any other. So it also is one of the easier sailing games to pick up as far as skill wise. Probably the toughest thing to learn is the movement. And that's just because a bunch of us lubbers have to wrap our heads around adding movement when we change heading with the wind and subtracting when we get close to the weather gauge. So, and you can write down your orders in as much of a Bristol style as you wish, or as lubberly as you wish. So there is a plotting phase in which you plot your movement. So you can write it down. You can use port and starboard, or you can say left and right. And it's all your movement is all your orders are relative to the position of your ship, your vessel there. So we speak sailor too. So in fact, it was Brian's deep love of sailing and ships that kind of spurred that on. Of course, now he was also an envoy for WizKids. Brian and I were both actually in the WizKids envoy program. We didn't know each other at the time, but he was higher up. He was definitely higher up in the program than I was. But I used to run the Pirates game. Remember the little punch out plastic ships that you could get in a package of, what was it, 3 or 4, and it would come with the little tiny dice, and it come with a couple of cards with some treasure and a couple of islands. So like 6 cards, like 2 ships, an island, some treasure. So that was a game that I was kind of pushing, and I was envoying for. And then, so, of course, we also had the Mech Warrior game with WizKids and HeroClix. HeroClix is kind of evergreen, though it's changed. So now, playing it now is much different than playing it then. All right, so I'm going to get a little bit of this silver, or this is gunmetal. So I'm going to use this Vallejo game colored gunmetal. I might even add a little bit of black into it just to bring it down just a little more. But I'm going to do a little base coat on the fittings on his scabbard and his belt with this. So evidently, YouTube will start pushing me after I have about 5 streams up, about 5 videos up. Then their algorithm kicks in and says, "Oh yeah, this person is serious." So as long as I can multi-stream, as long as Twitch allows that, we're gonna see where it takes us over there on the YouTube. See how many people I can reach over there. So we'll see. Might be good, might be bad. YouTube's a different animal altogether than Twitch. Twitch is so much more homey, if that makes sense. It's a little bit more, feels a little bit more like home. It's a smaller community. It's kind of everybody knows everybody, sort of, and a lot of that is because of the raid function, which YouTube, if you want to eat lunch, if you want to eat everybody else's lunch, YouTube, you need to come up with a raid function. I mean, that's just all there is to it. If you want to build communities, come up with a raid function. Rumble has a raid function, which the YouTube algorithm doesn't like that word. Supposedly. So we're not going to say that word too often. But it has a raid function. Twitch has a raid function. So why doesn't YouTube have a raid function? Seriously, they could eat everybody's lunch. If YouTube woke up and just chose violence one day and say, I'm going to take over the world, I'm going to take over all the streaming, because honestly, streaming is one of those things that I think YouTube doesn't look at, because, again, it's just people turning on their cameras and going at it, right? So they're more interested in bigger players than streamers. But I've seen a lot of streamers on YouTube. And what's funny is I've had a couple of interviews, and people always think, they go, oh yeah, you stream. Okay, well, yeah, check out his YouTube channel. I'm like, I don't have the YouTube channel. I don't stream on YouTube. Well, now I do, because everybody kept talking about, check out JP's channel. I'm like, I'm not on YouTube. So now I am. Because sometimes it is difficult. It is really hard to get people to come over from YouTube to Twitch. You know, that's a whole nother login, whole nother hassle, right? The one thing that YouTube does have over Twitch, though, is discoverability, right? So that's good. But, again, you got to get the algorithm to notice you. So in a couple more streams, hopefully the algorithm will have noticed me. Notice me, senpai? So we'll see. Alright, so I got the gunmetal here on the fittings and his belt there. So we'll take that, we'll get some silver back out here, some chainmail silver, and we'll dress that up a little bit. We'll make a little bit of the highlights here on it. Then after we get to a good point here on this figure, we'll go back to our monthly monster figure. Might take a break here in a bit. It's always good to take a break, let your eyes rest. Working so close like this, you need to let your eyes take a break. It's just a fact of life. And at my age, probably going to happen more often. I'm old and decrepit. Old. I'm so old. It happens, folks. 1 year at a time. 1 year at a time. All right, so I got some gunmetal and some silver going on there. I figure he's just rank and file, so he's not going to have anything too fancy. But the elves do make things of great beauty, so even the rank and file stuff is engraved and enhanced. So, working on some Necromunda dwarves for a commission job. Nice. Very cool. Very, very cool. Necromunda is a fun, fun game. I've got the old original book, Necromunda. I don't know how much it's changed, but I got the book and I never really got too much in the way of. I got the book more at the end of the cycle when they stopped putting them out there on the website for you to just buy. So, all right. So silver. Did I do this already? I think I did this already. So a little silver. I'm gonna hit it back here just a smidge. I need to brighten that up just a little bit. So that's good. Very cool. So those are the squat prospector and you know, what do they call them now? The leagues of Votan or something. So let's go a little silver here. Let's just make that little interesting little grommet there. I've been playing lately. Love it. Yeah, Votan are the 40k armor. You're right. But the idea of having a whole little team of them is pretty cool. Look at that brush. Look at that awful brush. It's just falling apart on me. But that's what you get. That's a synthetic. So I twisted it back together. Starting to fall apart as I start taking paint out of it. So, but yeah, I got towards the end of the Necromunda run. I did mail order some of the House Cador. So I got some of those, but when it came back out, I picked up the Escher gang, and I picked up, somebody sent a box of wonders, and so I took the Deloc that were in the box of wonders, I took those out, and I put back in a platoon of USGIs from Crusader Miniatures. So I think that was a pretty decent trade in the box of wonders. That box of wonders was sent out by 1 Inch Heroes. So check out 1 Inch Heroes Twitch channel right here. Cool guy. Amazing painter. So check out. I'm going to give him a shout out because I have not used the shout out function in a long time. I do believe he's actually on tonight. Alright, so follow 1 Inch Heroes if you haven't already. So I have been so lacking as far as giving shoutouts of late. Part of my problem with shoutouts is you've got to let it cool down before doing another shoutout. So I couldn't just line up and do like 20 shoutouts. Boom, boom, boom. I've got to wait until it cools down. And it's like a 30 or 40 second cooldown timer. So, like, I can watch it. It's cooling down right now. But it's almost there at the end. But I think if I did it again, I think it would probably still tell me I had to wait. Because Twitch is weird. They glitch sometimes. Alright. So, let's go ahead. I'm going to get a little bit of this tinny tin. and I'm going to enhance the hilt of this sword. So his little short sword is going to have a golden wrapped hilt. I mean, I guess I could do it in leather, but there's so much leather back there already. So yeah, Drew's a cool guy. So definitely follow him if you're not. But now I need to find something with a small enough bristle to get in there, but a brush that I don't mind ruining because metallics like to eat up your bristles. They've got all that sharp mica in them. Mica or aluminum powder, it's all very sharp. So using a nice natural hairbrush is not always the best for metallics. But it's what I've got. It's all I got right now. And this is an old GW brush that I really don't care about, because I actually have better success with these cheap artist's loft brushes or whatever this is. This is I like this. It doesn't have a big barrel, unfortunately, but it keeps a nice tip. So as long as I don't load that brush up, way crazy. And this is a sable round from the Robert Simmons watercolor line, and this can be gotten at Hobby Lobby. But look how nice that tip is. I mean, it really is. There's a couple of stray hairs flying off, but I did get a little bit down there around the fuller, so I'm going to have a serious cleaning session with that. But this is a number 2 brush. I probably do over 80% of most of my work with this brush. It's just, again, it doesn't hold a lot because it doesn't have a big barrel from here back. But if I load up to about right there, I have amazing control. So anyhow, so there's a lot to be said for cheap Hobby Lobby brushes. So don't poo-poo a brush because it doesn't have some brand name on it. And I will tell you this, a lot of brushes that have brand names, so this is a set of golden maple dry brushes. I got them off of Amazon. I think I paid $16 for them. Now I've stained this out a little bit. These do tend to hold stain. Even if you get them clean, they will hold a little stain. So, because I think they're wool brushes. But if you look at the handle, that handle is the same as like two other well-known companies. One just paints it black or puts their label on it. The other one paints it white and puts their label on it. So if you look at the shape of that handle, the material that it's made out of, name brand brushes sometimes aren't as name brand exclusive as you are led to believe, and that's just cheap old golden maple from Amazon. It's probably a Chinese brand, but it's just fine. Works good. Nice set of dry brushes, quite honestly. I guess you could also get the makeup brushes from your local CVS or Walgreens or whatever, but you know, are you going to go through $16, $17, $20 worth of makeup brushes, or you're going to get a $16 set that's going to last you a little bit longer than those makeup brushes? So well, I seem to have talked all the way through the ad break over on Twitch, so apologies. All right, the ad is now over on Twitch, so all apologies to Twitch viewers. I kept talking. I did not realize the ad had started. I thought I had more time. So I'm trying to be more conscious of that. But it doesn't really give a whole lot. It gives some warning, but it doesn't give a whole lot of, I don't know what you'd say. There's not a lot of feedback on the back end when it's going, when it happens. Sometimes the notification disappears, sometimes it doesn't. So, apologize for that. You missed out on. I mean, there's not really anything earth-shatteringly important that I ever say on here anyway, so you're not missing out on much. And quite honestly, you still have the little window up in the corner that you can watch. So that's not too bad. But I am trying to be a little more cognizant of when those ads start. I mean, you're always welcome to watch the VOD afterwards, or hop over to YouTube. I'm trying to get people from YouTube over to Twitch because, again, I'd like to get to 400, and once we have 400, if we can beat the street date for Warcrow, I have a copy of Warcrow to give away. So that's 7 miniatures, the rules for playing the introductory games, terrain, and a battle mat, all in one box. More details, you can see it on my Instagram. So definitely pass the word there, Watch Captain, and whoever else is watching tonight. I think Old Manchu Warrior is watching tonight. So if you don't mind passing the word and trying to get it out to 2 or 3 more people. But I want to give that away. And of course, if you live in Quebec, so it's open to residents of Canada and the continental United States, except void where prohibited and Quebec, which is really weird. Void where prohibited and Quebec. That just sounds so anti-Quebecois. Void where prohibited and Quebec. Oh, and Quebec. Just kind of like you know. So I'm using Oak Brown by the Army Painter. Oak Brown is a nice deep brown color that is perfect for things like bows and spear hafts and that kind of thing. Anything that's wood. And then, of course, there are ends on these bows that are metal. So we'll paint those metallic. But that's okay. We can go right over the brown with gold, no problem. In fact, it's even works out really nicely when you go over brown with gold. So if you've got social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, though if you work on submarines, I would think that you would want to stay away from the TikTok because of the security issues there. But what do I know? I don't know what the current security protocol is for various nations. I know I don't use TikTok, not a fan. But you know what's really funny is Snapchat. Snapchat gets a lot of usage. It's like even higher usage than TikTok for product for promotion. Very strange, I thought. But that is it. That is the world we live in. Of course, I can imagine Snapchat being used by people because of things. So not really terribly surprising that it would be used. One of the better better methods of getting the word out about your product. Most of our stuff is secret. I don't really talk about it other than saying what I do. Sure. Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to say, yeah, I work on subs. That's okay. You can say that, but you can't give any specifics. I know. I absolutely understand that. I got you. So I'm going to use a little bit of orange brown and mix it into the oak brown, and we'll get a nice woody brown color going on there. But yeah, I mean, you can't make specifics. You can say, it'd be like saying somebody saying what division they're in or whatever. And I mean, basically anything that you would see on your exit papers, like in the United States, if you would see it on your DD 214, because they do redact a lot of things on a DD 214 on your exit papers. So there's things that people get awards for that they can never talk about. And it will be just very, very vaguely mentioned on their exit papers. Or it'll be bundled in something else. They get awards. There are people that work for the company, and they get awards, but they can never say what those awards are or what they got those awards for. So, all very hush hush, I know some people whose grandparents were in World War II and various other actions and support of other countries' revolutionaries at times, that you'll never know what they ever did. So we're trying a little bit of wet blending here. Just getting a little wet blending. Maybe stipple that wet blending out just a little bit, just to get some interesting texture in there. But there are things, even to this day, you'll never know what people did from 80, 90, even 100 years ago. Even things from way back in World War I. That will never be released. Because even things from back then could change things from now. Could change attitudes, open up old grudges. So now it looks like I've put on too thick paint here because there's a weird seam right here, but it's not really a seam. It's just a weird thing on this. It's not really on the sculpt. I think it's just it's just something weird. Could be paint. Could be maybe the paint is too thick, but I don't think the paint is too thick. In fact, I'm adding a little water here. So I think as actually part of what happened. This is a resin figure that I think was cast in a more traditional spin cast mold. So it's going to have some weird things going on with it. So but this paint lays down nicely, so I'm not really having I really don't have the problem that I thought I was having with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and wet blend a little there. Yeah, that's nice. That's very nice. Then of course the tips of the bow are going to be metallic. Um, it doesn't really show up well here on the figure, but that bow, there's a bow tip right here. And again, it doesn't show up really well here. It's just a very soft detail, which you're going to get that when you put resin into a mold designed for metal. So we'll just go ahead and do that when it's ready. So but I think it's turning out pretty nicely. I'm getting some wet blends going on. I'm not a big wet blender. That's more of a high level Sam Lens sort of a Sam Lens, Eric Swinson sort of a technique. But I'm gonna go ahead and just do it like I do it every day, right? So, all right. Well, it's 8:30. I need to take a little break here. I just need to stand up, stretch. Oh, let my eyes rest. So I might just take what we'll call a little bio break. Usually I try to do it more towards the half, but I need to stand up. My knees are killing me for some reason. I shortened my chair so that I can be a little bit more have a straighter back. So, grab another rum and coke. All right. I wish there was a way to like star or like love comment, but absolutely. Grab another rum and coke. Why do pirates like rum? Because it starts with the letter R. You are a sailor if you're drinking rum. All right, I'm going to go to a little bio break and I'll be back subsequently. All right, and we are back. All right, good to be back. I really didn't get lost. The cat wanted some ear scratchers, and so I gave him a treat. And I just needed to get my legs back underneath me. I'm sitting here in this slightly shorter chair. I basically got a new chair. Didn't basically, I actually did. It's not basically. There's nothing basic to it. I got a new chair because the old one, the cat was in here and I leaned over and it bent the, what would you call it? The fitting, the area where the chair meets the post. It bent the fitting, and so I was like, that didn't feel good. That was not right. And I don't want to have a damaged chair with some of the videos I've seen. Look up damaged chair explodes. You'll never look at your cheap office chair the same way again. So I got rid of that one. Got a new one. I like it better. But I tried something different. I didn't install the wheels on it, which is a little bit disconcerting when I go to scoot back away from my paint station here. I'm used to having wheels. Again, the things you get used to, right? So I'm used to having wheels, but it actually has lowered me to my desk a little bit so I don't have to hunch over. So I like that. I was considering taking the wheels off the old chair, but as it turned out, I didn't have to. I just had to throw it away and get a new chair, which the where the chair meets up with the post is a little bit beefier, so it's going to be probably a little bit more longer lasting. But without the wheels on it, it lowers me down a good 3 or 4 more inches, so that I'm not hunching over so badly. So now I can just sit at my desk with a nice straight back, good posture. I'm not hunched over, down a little bit lower, which I guess I could have built my desk a few inches taller, but I didn't necessarily want it to be right up against the windowsill. So that is probably not a bad idea, right? Okay, so what have we done here tonight? I want to get a little bit of black, and we're going to go ahead and just throw a little bit of fake shadow in there between the right here in this area, right here in between the bow and his tunic here. So we're just going to put a little dash of black right in there just to kind of break it off visually. So we're just going to use basic matte black from the Army Painter, old War Paints line. I've got a lot of them. Eventually I'm going to shift over and use this desk the way I intended. So I'll be facing more into the corner. And that's a thing. So we'll get it all done the way I want it done here soon. I got a lot of little bits of organization that I got to do here. So little bit by little bit, I'm going to get it how I like it. So it's been sitting here for a little bit. It's got a little crust on it, so let's get rid of the crust. Clear that out. Little pokey tool, best $5 you can spend. Now you could get a a quilting pin from Joann's Fabric, but it wouldn't have the cool skeleton head on it, right? This cool skull face. They've got a new one. This is from Reaper. So they've got this one. That's the original one, but they've also got one that has a dragon's head on it. And I glued a magnet on the back, so I can just stick it here on the bottom of the shelf, and it's always in the same place. So, but if you make an order from Reaper anytime, go ahead and throw one of those in it. You will not be disappointed. So, it's definitely a useful tool, and evidently I have butterfingers. So while I was out, I put butter all over my hands, and I just started dropping things. Now, generally, I've gotten away from using black as a cheat for shading things, but here we are. It just kind of has to be a thing at this point. Just in that area, can't really do much about it. It's just a thing. So we'll just accept it as it is. That's okay. It's not the way I would like to do it. Now, if I were really brave, I would probably chop that out with a hobby knife or a little hobby saw, but I'm not that brave. So I'm also going to take a little bit of black here, and where these metal tips would be, I think I'm going to go ahead and make those metal tips. Now, I don't see it so much here, but it was definitely pronounced on the bottom. So we'll just go ahead and we'll make it like it is, like it exists, even though it doesn't necessarily exist up here. And it's okay to paint detail in. For years and years and years, hobbyists actually would paint detail in if it wasn't on the model. If they didn't have great sculpting skills, they would go ahead and just paint the detail in. So don't be afraid to take your hobby into your own hands. Don't wait for somebody else to do something. Okay? So if you feel there needs to be a detail somewhere, go ahead and paint that detail on. Look, these are only a little bit over an inch tall anyway, right? So nobody's going to really be that scrutinizing of what you're doing. So go ahead and paint the detail in. It's going to be close enough, and if you do it right, it's going to look like it belonged there in the first place. It's going to look like part of your part of the sculpt. Absolutely. Paint the detail in. There's nothing wrong with that. Be bold. Bold action wins. Bold action wins the day. It may not be the right thing to do, but at least you did something. All right, we'll go back to a brush I don't care about. This old Citadel brush. That's I don't know. It's actually not terrible. It's not a terrible brush. And once I cleaned it out, it really kind of sprang back to life. So we're going to pick up some of this chainmail, this darker, or this gunmetal, sorry. Add a little black into it. So we're going to make it a little bit darker. So we get work our contrast up out of it just a little bit more. Now I could probably be using some of my Merlin's Magic Medium, but I'm just using water. Just good old plain water. Add a little black to that gunmetal. Which gunmetal looks good if you add a little blue to it as well. we're going to just kind of use it, darken it up to more of a steel color. Right. So just right there. Right there. Right there. We'll leave a little bit of the black showing just around the very edges, just to kind of suggest there's some shading going on there. Now I could do the helmet at the same time, but I want to do the hair before the helmet. I'm just weird that way. Again, I'm looking at it like getting dressed, right? So pants, tunic, chainmail, over tunic, boots, helmet. So just almost like getting dressed. That's kind of how I'm addressing painting this figure. And then, so I'm just going with some more of the gunmetal color here that is not mixed in with the black. Just to bring that up a little bit more, kind of get some gradient going, and then from that I'm going to hit it with the silver, get those high points. So this single figure, by the time I get done with this evening, now if this were just a rank and file figure and I was just going through and doing white robes and a blue tunic and some chainmail, I wouldn't. Okay, if it were my old elves from 4th edition Fantasy Battle, I would not be going to quite this level. So I'm going to this level because this is a single figure. I've only got this one of this type. It's special to me because it was handed to me by Paul Hicks and Andy Hobday. I mean, they were both right there, so they both handed it to me in practice, which it was really one of them. I believe it was actually Andy Hobday that handed it to me, not Paul Hicks. But these are sculpted by Paul Hicks. He's the sculptor. Andy's the rules writer. But Hobday and Hicks, check them out on Kickstarter. Elves versus Orcs. And this is one of the figures. And it goes nicely. It would fit nicely with your Lord of the Rings guys. Or it would fit nicely with the Tom Meyer elves from Ralparth the Legacy. I mean, very, very clean looking. Very... I don't want to use the word generic, okay? I don't want to use that word. I want to say non-specific. Non-specific. So it would look good with the Thunderbolt Mountain elves from Ralparth the Legacy. It would look good with the elves from, like, maybe the Rivendell elves, right? From the Lord of the Rings figure series from Workshop. The Orcs would go nicely with the well, let's see, Warlord Games took them over some years ago. The Battle for Erewhon Orcs, they used to be with War Games Factory, but long story. Anyway, the Orcs that Warlord Games has would go well with those Orcs, as well as the Orcs from this line of figures would also go nicely with the Lord of the Rings Morannon Orcs, as well as the Tom Meyer Orcs. They would fit well together again. So these are just a really nice, kind of straightforward fantasy, non-specific fantasy figures that I think would work nicely with whatever you've got. Would they work with Warhammer Fantasy Battle? Maybe. I mean, as far as the figures that you've already got, I think they would. Definitely the 4th edition figures. They don't have the high pointy helmets, but a lot of the other features I think would work nicely. So maybe these could be elves from a different part of Ultuan. So they could be maybe, from a different province where they don't have the pointy helmets. So it would work nicely, I think. But Baron's War is very much more of a skirmish game. So I think that that you probably wouldn't want to use the elves from Fantasy Battle along with these guys. But definitely I think the Middle Earth range from Workshop, Tom Myers, Thunderbolt Mountain over at Ralph Partha Legacy would work, as well as the Orcs would work well from that same line, as well as the Warlord Orcs. I gotta learn to talk. My brain gets moving faster than my mouth, right? So, all right. All right, so where are we as far as skin goes? So let's go ahead and do some skin work here as we're working out. So this is Reaper 09047 fair skin. I already did a wash, or not a wash, but a layer of fair shadow to do the hands and the face. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the hands and face. I'm not going to go really too far with it because I really need to just do a wash and let it go. The eyes, I don't know that I'm going to get into the eyes. I might. Again, pokey tool. Elbow clips the dragon. Dragon goes flying across the table and down onto the floor. Always a good thing. If you don't have a cluttered up hobby desk, then what even are you doing? I'm actually trying to clear the clutter. So I started working on this elf because I was waiting for a couple of layers to dry on the dragon, and I really didn't realize that the Kickstarter was coming up. I knew the Kickstarter was a thing. As far as when it came along, I didn't know. I kind of thought it already happened. But definitely look into the Hobday and Hicks Elves versus Orcs, powered by the Baron's War game system. Great guys, great sculpts. A lot of people like the Baron's War game, so the fantasy supplement is probably going to be enjoyable as well. So we're just going to try to get that fuzz out. We're just going to do some quick little highlights here. Using the fair flesh, the fair skin over top of the fair shadow. I'm doing this so that I can get the face. The hands are outside the weapons, so topographically speaking, the hands are above the weapons. Again. So if you flattened out the figure in a topographical manner, hands would be on a higher level than the weapon there. But the face would be on a lower level than the helmet, obviously, as is easily seen. But I'm going to go ahead and hit that ear, hit the face, what I can see of the face. There's not much to see of the face. So that T area, the forehead and the nose that we usually try to get when we're doing a figure, not going to be quite so easily done. But we can pick up a little bit more just on the highest points of this fella's face. So we can get his chin, side of his nose, just above his eye, maybe just that top little bit of his cheek there. All right, very cool. Now I think in order to warm this figure up, so it's a very cold figure in the sense of you have the whites, you've got the grays, and you've got the blues. So it's a very cold figure, right? Even the metallics are very cold with that bright silver on the edges there. So I've tried to maintain some contrast, these nice warm browns, that dark, that reddish oak brown base of the browns, and then more yellowy, orangey browns. Same thing with the wood. The wood's supposed to be a little bit more on the warmer side. So, hey, Miar, how's it going? Good to see you again. Thanks for re-upping the subscription there. You've been subscribed for 6 straight months. Absolutely wonderful. So, thanks for your support, Miar. Appreciate that. Hopefully that Ettin's not eating too much at your house. So, I'm working on this figure from the Hobday and Hicks Kickstarter, which is live right now. Hobday and Hicks they wrote a game called Baron's War, and this is for the fantasy iteration. They've got elves versus orcs. So go over and check them out. Of course, Miara, you know the story behind this figure, so I'm not going to bore you with that story again. Look at it almost every day with some of the other minis. Nice. Nice. Well, like I said, hopefully the Ettin isn't Ettin too much. Hopefully your grocery bill hasn't gone up. Alright, so blonde highlight, blonde shadow, blonde hair. So, as I was saying, Miar, and you are aware of what cold colors versus warm colors are, and that's a way to kind of put a lot of interest on a figure. So the browns and the orangey browns of the leather bits, right, and the brown, the dark brown of the wood of the bow, that lends to some warmth. The gold color, even though the gold color is offset a little bit with the silver on his armor bits there. So that's a little bit of a warm spot. There's the warmer gold of the hilt of his sword there, to contrast with the colder steel and silver of the fittings of his scabbard, and the colder tips on his bow to contrast with the wood there. So In order to maintain some more warm-cold contrast, I'm going to give him blonde hair. So this is the Reaper blonde hair triad. So it goes blonde shadow, blonde hair, and blonde highlight. So kind of a tan, a mid ivory, and then closer to an ivory. And you could even punch it up with maybe some. You could even take it towards yellow with some of the arid earth, which the arid earth from Army Painter is also similar to Vallejo Model Colors ice yellow. So that's always an option as well. So that would warm it up, taking it towards the yellow. But I'm just going to go with the triad because I'm used to working in triads. I'm very comfortable with the triads. So we're going to do the hair up now. And we're doing the hair before we finish the helmet. And after the helmet, I might do a little skin wash. I'm not sure. I could actually do the skin wash before the helmet. That might be better. I don't know. Wash is one of those things that I don't need too much of it in here anyhow. So, not going to get too fussed about it. So for those of you who are on YouTube, my Twitch channel has got an advertisement going in about 2.5 minutes. It's going to start. So I should probably stop painting just out of consideration for people. But Miara is here, and Miara is a subscriber over on the Twitch, so he doesn't have to sit through the nasty old commercials. So, all right, let's get our pokey tool. Evidently, some of these have dried up. Not dried up, but the nozzle is clogged. The nozzle is dried a little bit. But the great thing about being a subscriber on Twitch is you are in the monthly Monster Club. Now, Miar won last month, so he's ineligible to win this month's. But this is this month's. It's the Blue Dragon. And if you want to support my channel financially, this is the perk that is available. I do one monster, and I draw it out of the subscribers, which I really do wish I could paint one monster for every subscriber, but that's not really a possibility. So it just has to be whatever. That's the only fair way to do it, is to draw for it. So. Alright, we're going to use this fine detail brush. Again, this brush is becoming a little bit of a workhorse tonight. Although it has decided to give up its nice tip that I had going on. So. Then of course, Miar, you know about the 400 Twitch follower giveaway. I know you know about that for the Warcrow box set. So looking forward to getting there. If you know anybody that would want to watch a stream that doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles on it, kind of a quiet, intimate, wind down at the end of the day sort of a stream, you're more than welcome to share. And if you're out there on the YouTube, like, share, subscribe. If you're here on the Twitch, if you subscribe, if you follow, you'll be in the running for the Warcrow box set. If you subscribe, you will be part of the monthly Monster Club. So. So hopefully the word gets out. I would like to be able to give that Warcrow set away before it hits the street. It hits the street at the end of September. So and I've been trying to get people to follow. I mean, we're only 78 followers away. But that 78 is hard to make. And then when we get to 500 here on Twitch, 500 on Twitch, man, I have got something really special cooked up. So I'm not going to say what it is. We got to get to 400 before we get to 500, you know, because that's math. That's how you count. And I was going to sing the 1 to 12 song, but I am currently multi-streaming over to YouTube, and YouTube has a weird algorithm that recognizes things. So if you sing things, it will ding you for whatever kind of weird copy strike stuff. And YouTube has its weaknesses, Twitch has its weaknesses. But I'll tell you, if YouTube decided to have a raid function where you could actually build your communities, I think everybody would hop over there in a heartbeat, quite honestly. Because that's one of the things that I like about Twitch is it has the raid function, which is a community and networking tool. So I've met a lot of great painters, a lot of people that are doing some really great things over here on Twitch that I would not have necessarily met had they been on YouTube. YouTube tends to have a high noise to signal ratio sometimes, I think. You know, especially with all the content, the gaming content, as far as everybody's talking about the latest scandal or infraction from Games Workshop or Twizzlers of the Coast or whoever they are now. Twizzlers of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast. TSR. TSR. TSR versus Wizards of the Coast. It becomes Twizzlers of the Coast. Twizzlers of the Coast. That's what happens when you're me and you have two thoughts in your head at the same time. But thanks for visiting, Mar. What are you doing tonight? You working on anything, or just you got any projects going on, or you just chilling like a villain? Got any hobby projects going on, or any games planned? I know this last weekend, a couple weekends ago, what was it, last weekend or weekend before last? You played a game of something with somebody and you really liked it. I think it was it Malifaux you were trying? No, Bushido. You were playing Bushido. I remember now. Haha. See? I remember my follows and subscriptions. Look, I don't have the world's greatest memory. I got that. And I will forget things that people tell me. I'm sorry. It's just a fact of life. But work on Garage Jam today. Just cleaned the rabbit's ear. Oh, okay. Well, that's important. Both of those are important things to do. Well, hopefully they'll get to play some more Bushido soon. I'm looking forward to painting up my samurai from Ralpartha Legacy before too long. I've got them over here in a box, but I've been working on painting so many other things for other people that I have not had the chance to work on anything for myself. Yeah, the models are great. They really are. That Japanese folklore stuff is really kind of cool. All right. So we start out with Blonde Shadow. I got a nice undercoat going there on his hair. So Blonde Shadow. So we're going to set that aside because we're done with it. We're going to go for the blonde hair right in the middle. And I think what I'm going to try to do is when I get to the blonde highlight, I don't want to follow the same hair strands that I did with the blonde shadow. I think what I'm going to try to do is go half, half, like half, half, and third, something like that. Okay, so half, half, and third, which will bring a nice level up. And I guess I could probably even try wet blending the hair, but I would think that might take some of the definition away from it. But then I could probably then go back and give it a light sepia wash even. So wash the hair with a light sepia, and it would get some of that shading back. So that's a thought. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways to do hair. There's a lot of different ways to paint your models, period. You know, there is no right way to paint your models. The only right way is to get paint on the models. That's the right way. You know, a lot of people say, well, this is how you should do this, and this is how you should do that. One of the more prominent painters out there, Don Serrato. No, sorry, Sonic Sledgehammer. Sorry. Sonic Sledgehammer actually made a point. I talked to him a bit on Twitter. He actually made a point that when he talks about painting something, now I'm going to go ahead and mix some of this blonde shadow back into this straight blonde, kind of get something in between there, so that the step up isn't quite so jarring. That's what I'm working on this particular project. Is I'm trying to make my highlights, my bases and my highlights not quite so jarring. So not quite so stark. But what he said is that when he talks about the way he paints something on his videos, he tries to always say, this is the way I paint it, right? So this is the way I paint it. This is what I found works for me, because your process might be different than him. Your process might be different than, say, Sam Land's process. Your process might be different than, say, Eric Swinson's, or Matt DiPietro, or Neil Duffy's process. Your process is different because we each approach our paint work as individuals. We all find things that work for us. Okay? There are methods that will work better than others, but there is no right way to paint a figure other than just to get it done, just to get paint on it. That's the only right way, is to get paint on your figures. Okay? So if someone says you're painting that wrong, and as long as you're not just globbing up the paint on it, you're probably not painting it wrong. You're painting it the way that works for you, and that is why we do hobbies. We do hobbies because it works for us. We have a reason why we do our hobbies. We find some personal fulfillment in it. It's our way to shut out all the craziness around us blue versus red, whatever, you know. Just get away from all that stuff and just find your own little happy place. And you find out that those things that people say matter so much and cause so much difference between people. When you meet other hobbyists that enjoy the things you enjoy, all those differences that we're told we're supposed to have, they go away. Okay? And we need more of that. All right, so here we're going to go with some blonde highlight. Again, I went kind of in thirds there, so I didn't take that last blonde color all the way down here. I just kind of went across the top third here. So half to third, half to third, half to third, and just kind of left some of that shadow, that blonde shadow, in the recesses, so that if I do go back and throw in like a sepia wash, it will enhance that shadow a little bit more. So, all right, so this is blonde highlight that I'm using. Again, Reaper, you know, because I'm using the Reaper blonde hair triad, which, as far as a quick and dirty way to do blonde hair, the blonde hair triad is the way to go. So get yourself the blonde hair triad from Reaper. And again, this is not an endorsement. I don't get consideration from mentioning these companies or their products. These are just things that I enjoy, that I use, that I like, and I will tell you about them. I will tell you about the things that I like, the things that I use. So, all right, so now I've just put out a little bit of the blonde highlights, okay? And I'm going to pick up some water because we never want to touch our paint with a dry brush. I'm going to take a little bit of the blonde highlights. I'm going to mix it back into a little bit of this blonde hair color, right? So we're going to get a little bit of a mixed mid-tone between there. And again, like I did before, I just went in thirds, kind of third, 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 right? Half, 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 third, 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 whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to kind of bring that up and just kind of add highlights where the hair would actually be most likely hit by some light, like right up here, very top edge of his shoulders. I'll let it be a little darker next to his helmet. Figure there's a little shadow, a little shade coming from there. And then maybe just pick off a couple of those little strands down there. Again, a little over here. Kind of a third, so third, 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 half, 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 something like that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and take some of the unadulterated straight blonde hair color here, which is kind of dark ivory almost, if you wanted to call it that. So it's almost a darker ivory. Not quite as light as ivory, but just kind of a darker ivory. It's a little on the thin side. A little thinner than I like to usually work with. Just as far as the way it flows. So we're going to go ahead and just get a little bit of that there. There. A little there. Just kind of let it pop. I don't know if it shows up too well here on the camera. This is, surprisingly enough, a 4K camera. But a friend of mine sent me a message the other day and said, "You need a 4K camera." I'm like, dude, this is a 4K camera. part of the problem is the aspect ratio that it's kicking out at. It's a document camera, so that's why it tends to be more of a 6:4 aspect ratio instead of a 16:9. So it is a bit of frustrating because I've tried to figure out a way to widen up, go to a 16:9 with this camera, but it really doesn't jive like that, Daddy-O. So I could even take this up a little bit higher. And maybe just add some ivory to it. So I think if I took it up just a little higher and just made it pop just really strong with a little bit of ivory. So the blonde highlight is kind of a dark ivory. So if I go back and hit it with an actual straight up ivory, it might work. Or what if, I don't know, let's try some arid earth. That might be too yellow though. Let's put it beside it and see what happens. So this is arid earth, which is very much like an ice yellow, and it's almost the same color. It's about 1/8 of a step up, so it's a little bit brighter than this blonde highlight color. So let's go ahead and use that. I like that. It's not quite as white as an ivory would be. It's still a little bit more towards the yellow side of things, which the blonde hair highlight is a little more pink. So I think that it will have a nice, having it sitting next to each other, I think it will have a nice, it's just subtle enough, just highlight enough that I think it will work nicely. So I just want to go right there, just a little dot. It's amazing what just a little dot will do. Don't want to do too much. I think that was going to be a 4th step to my blonde hair triad. I guess I'm going to have to try painting some more blonde hair before too long. Because I got kind of in a routine, not routine, but I kind of got into a place where I enjoyed painting red hair for a while. So I kind of got away from blonde because blonde was one of those colors that, I mean, you have the triad and you can use it and it works really nicely, but it's just such a everybody likes blonde hair, right? So I started doing more red hair on some of my figures, which that was enjoyable. But now that I'm using a little bit of this arid earth on the very last bit of this blonde hair triad, man, it really pops it out. It is definitely worth. The experiment has been a success. Let's put it like that. I like that. All right, so that gives a nice gradient. Very nice gradient. Now, I didn't wet blend it or anything like that, but I could probably throw a wash on there. Maybe a sepia wash, give it a little brown tone. I don't know. I just don't know if it would get everywhere else that I don't want it to go. It's possible. But oh my goodness, that was just kind of that was a little stressful. If painting a little figure causes stress, maybe painting figures isn't free. Well, there's good stresses and there's bad stresses. This was a good stress. So, wow, that's looking really great. So it's almost 9:30 and I haven't touched the monster of the month yet. Monthly monster. Maybe I'll do a little stream on Saturday. Just to kind of catch up a little bit with that. I don't know. Stay tuned, kids. Right? Make sure you're got your notifications on if you're watching. If you want to watch me paint this big ugly blue dragon, which it is a challenge. It's got some really weird angles to get to, and I've done some dry brushing and it's gotten a little out of hand in different places. So, but I think maybe I'll work on that some more Saturday, which Saturday is still this month. Actually, there's a thing on Saturday I might go to for a couple hours. See how that is. But anyhow, yeah. There's a sort of a new game store in town I want to go check out. It's not really a game store. It's kind of like they've got video games and they've got like a event space, and they probably have MTG and whatever there, and I don't know. It's different. I don't know. Trying to get somebody to do miniatures in this town is a little bit of a hassle. Of course, Warhammer players never buy anything, right? So that's not good. But trying to get somebody just to carry, Reaper or something like that is it's like pulling teeth. In fact, pulling teeth would probably be easier. I know, because I was at the dentist the other day, and I got to go back to the dentist. I got to do some oral surgery there. Not that I'm doing it, but somebody's going to be doing that to me. So I got to get that scheduled. My teeth hurt just thinking about it. But evidently I broke one of my wisdom teeth. So, not evidently, I mean, it did, it happened. So, evidently it's true. Not that there was any speculation on it. It was just, it happened. Therefore, there you go. All right. I just want to take a little breather here. I've got my knees folded underneath. Like I said, I changed my chair. It's a little bit on the shorter side now. So it's better for painting, but I keep on tucking my knees under my chair, and because my chair is a little bit lower, yeah, it kind of gets to me a little. And I've got my visor on, and that's just stress and strain on my head. Looking through glasses, trying to read chat out the side while I've got the visor down in front of me. It gets to be a bit of a challenge. So if you want to support the challenge, consider a subscription over here on Twitch and get your name on the monthly Monster Club roster. And yeah, have a new pet. So, all right, I'm gonna go blow my nose real quick because it gets dry. I get dry, and give me just just a moment. I'm going to take a little, we'll call it a bio break. It's just a regular break. So we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Because nobody wants me to blow my nose on stream. That's just unpleasant for everyone. Okay, we are back. Hopefully you're still there. Hello, everybody. Back. Nice to be back. Breathe a little bit better now. So, all right. Okay, so, oh boy, I usually go till 11, but I may be closing this down a little bit earlier tonight because I am tired, and I've got an early call tomorrow. So I got to be at a place at 7, crawling underneath their house, trying to figure out why they're... Okay, so this is really weird. I go out to the service call, and they say, somebody came out and did some work for us. It was somebody that was not a qualified electrician, obviously, because that's how these always start. And they said, every time we turn the stove on, this receptacle comes on. If I turn the stove off, the receptacle turns off. So I'm not looking forward to tomorrow's project at all. Crawling under a house. They've got 5 Rottweilers. It's just gonna be a mess. It's gonna be awful. All right, but we go. We do. We do as we do. Dooby do. All right, so I'm going to use some gunmetal here, and I'm going to address his helmet. And yeah, do that. I might even add a little gold to his helmet as well, just to kind of tie it into his armor that he's already got, and add a little bit more warmth to the figure. So here we go. So here is some gunmetal from Vallejo Model Color, or Game Color. It's a little on the thick side. That's okay. And we might even drag a little bit of that gray into it, so it'll be a little bit more gray anyhow. So there's a little bit of gray that started to polymerize already. So, but we might drag a little bit of that into it. So. If you're catching the VOD on YouTube, consider visiting me over on Twitch and giving a follow over there, as when I reach the 400 following mark on Twitch, I will be doing a drawing for a copy of the new Warcrow game from Corvus Belli. Corvus Belli, the same people that brought you Infinity. Do they have any other games? I don't know. I think that's pretty much their big one. So the trick is to paint his helmet without hitting his elf ears, which are much like his elf eyes. Legolas, what do your elf eyes see? Oh, really? They gotta be elf eyes? Really? They can't just be eyes? Isn't that a little racist? I mean, I don't know. I mean, seems like it could be a little racist. All right. Let's see. Oh, almost put that in the wrong water. Keep the metal water and the color water separate. So I think I'm going to get a little more of this matte black and dress up his helmet just a little bit, so I'm not putting metallics, because metallics are very thin on color generally. So get a little matte black on his helmet just to kind of clean it up and give me a little bit of more of a target to go at when I'm painting here. So. All right. So we'll rinse out the black, and we'll go right back to the chainmail here. Not chainmail, sorry, gunmetal. We're going to do gunmetal, and then we're going to bring it up to chainmail. So gunmetal. And there's a silver. I've got a silver over here that's really bright. It's a Vallejo model color silver, but it's so bright it looks fake. You know, I don't know if that makes any sense, but sometimes these colors can be so bright that they don't look right. They look wrong. So I don't generally prime in black either. Usually when I prime, I like to prime in brown because it's a much more natural color. There's very few things that you will ever find in life, in real life, that cast really black shadows. Usually you're dealing with shades of grays and browns. So I'm not a fan of black as a primer because you can use the black, what I call the black cheat, right? That sounds horrible. Somebody on YouTube is probably going to clip that and be like, "Oh my gosh, he said it's a black cheat." Okay, what I mean by that is that black is a good way to have to let it naturally delineate the pieces of your figure. So here there's a little bit of black showing right here where these two items meet, these two planes. So there's a plane going this way and there's a plane going this way. So where they meet, there's a little bit of black. Right here, where these two things meet, there's some black. Where this arm meets the leg, there's black. Where this arm is intersecting with the tunic, there's black. Right? Underneath, right here, there's some black right underneath the quiver right here. There's a little bit of black right there where the quiver meets. And as you saw me before, I purposely painted some black right here just to separate this and not have a big wad of just a big old blue blob right there. So, yeah. So black is a quick and dirty way to shade, to add shading and black lining and separate the parts of a model. But black is also not true to life. So, rabbit stuff got loose, peed on me. Oh, yeah, well, Miar, rabbits do that. Nothing to apologize for, my man. You got to do what you got to do. I don't know. Are you a homesteader, or you just got yourself a nice farm there? Because I know a lot of people that have started homesteading lately. Well, two, really. So, but raising your own food, rabbits, chickens, goats for milk, without having to invest in cattle for milk, right? Just a house and a yard. Okay, that's fine. That's cool. I didn't know if you were doing something a little extra or not, but that's important. At least that's something you can use. That's some self-sufficiency there. So that's good. All right, so we're going to take a little bit of silver, and we're going to go ahead and silver up this helmet. And we're going to just kind of follow the way the light is hitting it anyway, right? So the gunmetal is going to stay gunmetal. We're just going to kind of hit this with silver and do some true metallic metal effects here, because I am not a non-metallic metal kind of guy. So I like to use 2 or 3 colors of metallics in my metals and let them do what they're supposed to do, which is look metallic. Right? And that's one thing that the black actually helps at doing. So whenever I paint something in it that's going to be metallic, I will undercoat that area and that area only, especially if I'm primed in a brown or a dark gray, right? Prime in a brown or a dark gray, I will try to get any place that I'm going to have metallics. I intend to be metallic colored. I will block it out in black or dark brown even. Was raised on a farm on and off. Yeah, well, that's good. There's a lot of things that you learn on farms that you don't learn other places. Some of it is just even doing without, you know. All the cool kids have this or that. Living on a farm, you might not have access to that. Maybe not even internet, you know, that's a thing. All right, so I'm going to go back to the tinny tin, and I'm going to do some gold bits on this dude's helmets. So, but yeah, living on a farm, on and off, learning those lessons about life that you can only learn on a farm. Getting up early, being responsible. Yep. All right, so I'm using the tinny tin as a base coat because it's on the brown side of the metallics, so it's a warmer tone metallic. I'm going to use that to base where I want my gold to be. So again, that's just how I do it. That's how I do it. It may not be the right way that you do it. This is the way I do it, though. Now I don't know, maybe the nasal on his helmet should be metallic like steel and silver. But I'm going to go ahead and make it because it looks different. There's a little tiny like ridge right there. And this is a lot to say for Andy Hobday's paint sculpting skill. He's definitely right up there with Tom Meyer because he's got this real delicate little thing here that most people would just probably go ahead and paint that on down. But there's a little break right there where it looks like he's got two pieces of metal coming together. So that's pretty cool. So he's got a little break there, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to make that gold as well. So I'm using that brown tone tinny tin as a base for anywhere that I'm going to put gold. So details. Yep, absolutely details. But I was just saying, Myar, I may go to bed a little early tonight. I may shut down at 10. I usually go till 11. You know how I do. But I may just go till 10. We got about 10 more minutes. I mean, not a hard and fast 10. Like, I'll go a little past if I can. But I'm kind of tired. I had a weird day today. I had to get a late start. So a late start meant a late finish, which was kind of cool. It all worked out. But I've got an early start tomorrow, so I may finish this up. There's a couple of little things, like I would like to do his eyes, but I'm also going to do a wash on his face and his hands with a skin tone wash. So if it goes well, I may not even do his eyes, which is kind of counterproductive to what I was doing with this particular project, right? The plan was to do this really nice, but nothing says I have to, I've done so much good on the rest of the, if I have to say so myself, I've done so much really good on the rest of his, this figure that I think that if I skipped his eyes, it'd kind of be okay. I mean, it's a balancing, right? Better here, more here, less here, right? Kind of a balancing act. Don't burn yourself out. Don't hurt yourself. Don't you know you know what I'm trying to say. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick up some gold here, and that is Vallejo Game Color Glorious Gold. It's a very red colored gold. Again, also a very warm tone to it. So it goes nicely over the tinny tin. So the tinny tin is a nice base for that. So I'm going a little thin, as you can see too. So you can see how there's a little bit of pooling left behind there, and that's okay. I want to make it look kind of handmade, you know. What am I using the Ralpartha Samurai in? I am using the Ralpartha Samurai in the Ralpartha. Well, actually, I could use them in Bushido. You could use them in Bushido. But you might want to go ahead and get things. Well, monsters are always weird size anyway, so monsters could be any scale. But the Bushido or the derp. So Bob Charette wrote a game called Bushido years ago, and it was an RPG set in medieval Japan. So so I was thinking about using them in that as well as Chaos Wars. Chaos Wars is the mass combat fantasy battle game from Ralpartha, which you can download all that stuff on the Ralpartha Legacy site anyway. So I'm going to get a little bit of this chainmail silver here, and I'm going to mix it into that gold. Found that one online last night. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, it's kind of a different thing. The funny thing is it would be really hard for him to seek any kind of remuneration from Bushido, from GCT Studios, because Bushido is actually a common word meaning way of the warrior, or way of the Bushi, or Buge. Bushi is warrior. Bushido is way of the warrior. So Bugeisha, Budo, Budokan. There's lots of Japanese conjugations you can do out of Budo. So, all right, I mixed a little bit of chainmail silver into the gold here, and I'm just going to try to edge it out just a little bit, just to get some definition. Just to get a little bit of interest there, especially on the top part, just to get that highlight going on. Trying to get some highlights going on. That's the important thing. Get some highlights. But yeah, I've got the books, the Bob Charette game upstairs actually. Wayne's World of Books had it, and I got it at a fairly inexpensive price, because nobody else was interested in it, right? It's just something that not too many people know about. But it's got a lot of folktale monsters in there that you can use, but what I liked is it was more, you could play more historically, right? So you'd have more like intrigue in the daimyo's court. You know, so you could have a lot more interesting. It didn't feel like a fantasy game per se. So you could have more of a historical perspective on it, which I thought, to me, the idea of a historical role-playing game is far more interesting than the idea of fantasy role-playing game. Just color me weird. I mean, that's my thing. So I guess I'm just an odd fellow that way. But okay. I think that's pretty cool. Let's go back here and add a little bit of that glorious gold to the nasal part of this helmet. Just to kind of break it off a little bit. Yeah. I'll add a little water just to kind of knock it down, because I think a little bit much. So I think what I want to do is add a little more glorious gold right along here, just to enhance that highlight that was already there. Then we'll add a little silver there. Mix that in. That back to the highlight there. And we'll make a little line across there with that chainmail silver mixed in with the glorious gold, just to get a little bit. I got to be careful because I'm building that up and it's starting to dry out. So I'm going to add a little water. Just let it lay. Like Bob Dylan said, let it lay across my big brass bed. We'll just kind of take some of that. Take a little bit of that glorious gold straight up and go right along the brow here. Just build that up just a smidge. Build up the color. Yeah. All right, that looks much better. Now that color, now that band of color, that glorious gold is going all the way across. And so one side matches the other. Now in real life, I think I would, if I were working on an OSL like an object source lighting, or wanted to give a little bit more of an idea of light direction, because I tend to paint like it's noon on an overcast day, right? A lot of your better painters, a lot of your more well-known painters, anybody that's not me, tends to paint more with shadows and lights directionally, but I am not there yet. That's not my way. I don't know how to do it. It's not something I've really spent a lot of time on. So matching one side of this eyebrow piece to the other side, for me, that looks pretty good. And it's a little rough, like maybe beaten metal, or maybe it's got some runes engraved in it. I don't know. Of course, I could go back and use a little bit of gloss coat too and kind of smooth that out just to the eye. But for now, I'm going to call him mostly done, like 99.9%. I think I should probably do a little bit of a flesh tone wash on his face and his ears, maybe hit his hands, and then go back and highlight some of that. But yeah, aside from the base, this guy is 99.999% done. So thanks for hanging out with me, everybody. I appreciate that. This figure is one of many that can be gotten through the Hobday and Hicks Elves versus Orcs current Kickstarter. I think it's only going for 9 days, and it's been on for 1 day already. And if you act now in the next couple of hours, there's a free figure that will be added to your order. So definitely check that out. Hobday and Hicks at Kickstarter. Elves versus Orcs. So this is one of the figures that's in there. And when you see the layout, you'll see this figure on the top row, second or third over. Not this one, but the same sculpt. So check it out. These figures I think will mesh nicely with if you've got Middle Earth figures from Citadel, or you've got some of the Thunderbolt Mountain elves from Ralpartha Legacy. I think these would work very nicely right next to them, as well as the Orcs would go well with the Warlord Games Orcs that they've got available. They may have switched those over to Airfix, but I think you can still get them off, not Airfix, but Hornby. Airfix? I don't know. Whatever. I can't keep track of what old Stallard is doing over there at Warlord. But they've got the Orcs there that are very much like the what's the guy's name? McBride. Angus McBride's Orcs were really amazing. The stuff that he did for Iron Crown Entertainments for the Middle Earth role-playing game, the artwork that he did was absolutely beautiful. And those Orcs are very similar to the Warlord Orcs that you can get. And I think the Orcs out of this set would fit nicely with those. So give them a look. Check out Hobday and Hicks on Kickstarter. Check out the Baron. This is going to be under a fantasy version of the Baron's War rule set. So yeah, give them a look. Give them a check. Give them a check. Give them some of your paycheck. I don't get any remuneration for talking about it. I just think it's cool. They're neat guys. They do good work. I got to meet them. They gave me this figure, which this is going to go in a place of honor in my collection. So, yeah, Miar, just like you have a place of honor for the things I've sent you, I've got a place of honor for things other people have sent me. I absolutely understand you, man. We are, our canoes travel in the same river, I think. So, all right, well, that's it. Elf and Orc from Hobday and Hicks. Hobday and Hicks is, so it's this. So, right? So it's Hobday and Hicks. So there you go. So Hobday and Hicks, look that up on Kickstarter, and it's Elves versus Orcs. I think you'll like what you see. They're a little spendy, but I think they're worth it. So, and they will, like I said, I think they would mesh nicely with any Middle Earth figures that you might have from Workshop or the Tom Meyer Thunderbolt Mountain stuff available from Ralpartha Legacy. So, all right, well, everybody, I think that's going to be it for tonight for me. Let's go ahead and raid out for somebody over here at Twitch. For YouTube, good night. Good night for YouTube. I'm going to end that stream. And do come back if you watch the VOD. Consider coming over to Twitch and giving a follow there so that I can release the Warcrow box set. And yeah, if you watch me live on Tuesday nights from 9 o'clock to 11, or Thursday nights from 7 o'clock to 11, except I am a little tired, so I'm going to end it a little early tonight, which is one of the things you can do because, again, I'm a private individual doing this stuff. This is not a job. I enjoy it. It's kind of a hobby to help me with my hobby. That's a whole nother story. Don't want to get into it right now. But yeah, thanks for watching on YouTube. If you're watching the VOD, if you were here this evening and I don't see anybody watching, that's cool too. Like, share, subscribe. Help me grow the channel. Appreciate you. Appreciate you being here. So I'm going to end the YouTube stream. As I usually say, no matter how rough today was, remember, the sun is coming up tomorrow and the world is a better place with you in it. So good night, YouTube, and have a lovely tomorrow. And